So shout out to this comment I received. I can't talk. Shout out to this comment I received. It was a very very thick comment. You know who you are. Yeah, you know who you are. Shout out to you. In that comment, you actually talked about something. I responded to the comment saying, "I will make a video on what I think about near death experiences, out of body experiences." Well, I can't. I talked it. You guys are gonna unsubscribe. So, anyways, what I'm just going to say is welcome back to another video, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, I have to get out of saying that because that's my intro from a different channel. But I still got to welcome you guys somehow. I think a proper thing for the soulithicshift brand is to maybe just start with some affirmations to tell yourself. But yeah, I think in the start of these videos, I'm just going to be like, remind yourself of who you are, remind yourself of your power, remind yourself that you are energy at all times. Everything is energy. So, with that in mind, be very mindful of what and how you speak to yourself and the energy that you also put out in the world. Lead with love. But all right, let's get it. I hope the beginning of the video, being an absolute crackhead, gives you guys a little bit more of my authentic energy and how I really am. I usually am tweaking like this normally, but today feels extra special. No, but let's talk about it. Near death experiences, out of body experiences. And I mean, astral projection can be its own separate video, but let's just talk about what I think and feel about it. I actually have a very, very close friend in my life. He's a brother. I basically say he's a brother. It doesn't, a friend is such a loose term. This is my brother, by blood or by not by blood, but not by blood. But it's the blood of the covenant. I always got to say the full quote of that every time I say it. The whole blood is thicker than water. Look up the full quote. But anyways, this dude is like my brother, 100%. Like we used to live in this town together where literally when we would walk around, people would roll down their windows and be like, "Yo, what's up? It's the brothers." We literally, a lot of people think we look like twins. Some people think we just look like brothers and not twins. But love that guy to death, and he is actually going to be the main focus of this near death experience portion and my whole beliefs around it. And yeah, and just having that individual in my life just is so cool because I got his firsthand account. I had a firsthand account and I don't have to really search up videos. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but he told me his experience with what happened. And I think it's coupled together with everything else as we went through our awakening journey. But that is my mother twin flame, dude. I don't want to curse too much in these videos because I know some people have a thing about cursing, and it is authentic for me to curse, but I'll try to keep it out as much as possible, cursing here and there. But my bro, he fell from an abandoned building from the top floor to the bottom and hit ice. And he said as he felt everything that you have heard before. He was in slow motion, or it was like life slowed down around him, or it was like this instant being knocked out, like an impact, like falling through the floors, impact, then kind of in this woozy state, waking up of being dragged by his cousin. Now, again, I'm retelling the story, so I feel like a little bit of like copyright infringement because I wasn't there. But basically, what he said, his account of that moment is time didn't pass how we, time is a construct, but how we perceive it, you know, in that near death state before the actual where he was, the realm he was in. He experienced this slowing of time. I think even funny enough that he's a fighter as well. Um, he's a mixed martial arts athlete, and he says he feels that sort of flow state as well as seeing like things move in slow motion. Also, I've had this during driving too, but this zone you go into, or honestly, easy way to put it is a flow state. Let's not try to get fancy. It's flow state. But he felt that state. Everything slowed down. He knocked out. And before he was woken up to being dragged, what he recounted from where he was is he was in this in between place where time, nothing around you really existed, and it was just himself. he said he was staring at himself, and essentially, that warm, inviting feeling, like, that people talk about, and this sort of pull that he could have like chose to die then, like, oh, you could cross over or whatever, but there's more meant for you, there's more on this list, and this warm, loving feeling that transcends love that you can even get from a mother or your own kids here. If you So that's what I compare it to, because if you watch NDE videos or you're familiar with it, these people recount feeling this amount of love that transcends any type of love that you could feel here, which is, in me, the box way I'm going to put it is divine love, or divine, just the true divine acceptance of what existence is. No duality, no nothing, no you made mistakes in life, none of this, like a place where you were truly forgiven for anything that you felt, which goes against a lot of teachings that they make you fear this higher power. Of course they would want you to fear yourself in a lot of texts, because you would not search for self if you were scared of the other side, or scared of death, or scared of being judged on the other side. But the true judgment is being too attached to this world and treating it as if it's real. I don't want to go into that too much, but since we're on the topic of NDEs and out of body experiences, we're talking about other realms anyways. And this, as I replied to that person's comment, that soul's comment, that this is such a small fragment of who and what we are, but it's such a dense place that you can get trapped here in your mind. You can get, and I want to touch on that a little bit, but that's probably for another video as well. But anyways, going back to his story, so he knocked out, hit the bottom, seeing himself on the other side, and essentially that was what we chalked up to God. He seen his higher self, but essentially it took the form of him, because we're made in the image of God. And basically he told him, you can leave or you can stay, it's up to you, but you do have much more to accomplish, much more to do. And he said, and I think if I'm recounting this possible, because I don't tell this story too much, but if I'm recounting his experience properly, he got a like full map playout. It was going to be chopped up more than I like for these free flowing videos, but he basically got a life overview of the timeline or frequency we were on and all the events to take place. So basically specific events of our awakening and everything that he was going to go through played out. Like he's seen his whole life, like like a movie reel, like his whole life play out like a movie reel, and then essentially condense and wake up. And he has, as we went through our awakening, but as he was growing up at 14 or 13, I think this is when it happened to him, he essentially got deja vus, or just certain moments that would happen were things that he's seen in this life view, this movie reel of his entire life. So he's a freaking dope individual. Nonetheless, he's a beast, especially when it comes to claiming I am and claiming who we are before this, because he has what I'll always say is a direct connection to that side, because he needed a near-death experience for whatever was in his soul contract to be able to do the things he does now. And he's a beast. He will always be a beast. I'll always see him in a high light, because he felt as one of his things that he came to Earth for was to almost join me hand by hand, to be like a physical spirit guide. So we're just, I'll always have love, like complete, like, I don't know, it'll always transcend this realm for him. That dude is awesome. Now, um, going on to out of body experiences, because essentially they're, I've heard everything. I've met people over the years that talked about dying in their sleep. I think I was one of them, by the way, who has died in their sleep. I'm going to talk about the account, because I literally woke up asking my bro, who we're talking about in this video, yo, was I suffocating? Did it look like I was suffocating or having breathing issues? Because I went to sleep one time and my consciousness came with me, and it was just a void. I was staring at a void, and I started breathing, like I started remembering I could breathe or something, and that scared me. And I like woke myself up, because in this place, or wherever my mind was, which I brought my conscious mind consciously, when you're awake, I'm getting chills. Wow. Because I don't think I've ever talked about this in video, but um I'm getting chills because my conscious mind remembers that when I'm awake, I need to breathe. So in this dream state, you don't need to breathe because your body is naturally going through its mechanics. It's breathing while you sleep. So my mind consciously freaked out because I didn't hear the sensation of breath. So I was like pure mind, pure consciousness. And I started tripping out and I woke myself up and asked him, bro, was I suffocating? But around this time when I was having these out of body experiences, I mean, I think another reason I'm able to have them is because as a child, I've had chronic sleep paralysis. I've seen every damn entity that there is to list and name out of the corner of my eye, shadow spirits. I ended up mastering my mind so much that I made friends with some of these entities. And I'm not kidding you because your imagination is the all. And that's how some people say you can turn your sleep paralysis into a lucid dream because you're conscious during sleep paralysis, and during sleep paralysis you're literally awake, you wake up. So I think I've done that a few times, but I haven't intentionally gone into sleep paralysis and woke up inside my dreams and then to turn that into something else. Because with my imagination, if you guys were able to know how, like, my imagination is so vast and so expansive and so creative all the time that I see some of the worst stuff that you can imagine. Like, I'm doing Blender right now, 3D modeling. Wait until I actually design some of these creatures I've seen in my imagination. I think I will make some of the most horrific shit ever. But I just laugh because it's like, that's why I would never intentionally use sleep paralysis to go into lucid dreaming, but it can be done. But essentially, what are my thoughts on it? To really give y'all the truth, we're seeing into the other worlds of conscious layers. So this comment also talked about the 12 layers or 12 dimensions or the 12 heavens. And what do I think about that? To be fair, if I'm going to be completely honest with y'all, I think heaven is this and everywhere around you. Because essentially, what I've learned is the purpose of Earth is to ascend it and not get stuck here, but to have an experience, but also not have the worst experience in the world. And let me clarify this. I do think some individuals may have done certain things in other lives, if you believe in the concept of reincarnation, to have a life where they're suffering now or they're in their perceived suffering, and they've had to learn a way to transcend it. Because for me, I've heard these concepts of never breaking a bone, but I think I want to save these for another video. But an example, they said, I think it's a Japanese myth. I haven't done too much research into this, but if you've never broken a bone in your life, it means you were born to go through very emotionally heavy, traumatic things in your life. And I did. I was abused very young by my mom's boyfriend. He burned me, and all of that. And I went through that, and that built my character to grow up with. But all of these things I knew were necessities. And depending on what my soul contract was, I've never broken a bone, never even came close. I've taken hard falls, this, that. I've bent my arms the wrong way. I've landed straight on my neck. Absolutely nothing. Like from doing parkour and backflips and stuff. Never been in a brace in anything. And I think that's because I've had literally the heaviest emotional family and drama ever. So, but anyways, that's for another video. But to talk about this concept of out of body experiences and all this in other realms in these 12 heavens, I honestly think our mind is, if these 12 dimensions and all this stuff exist, which I believe they do because I believe there's more. Let me just say that right now. I'm going to say I believe and know that there's more. And I feel like I know because every time we dream, our mind is creating these different worlds and different realms. Now, if you want to place these realms, depending on the symbols that you see within the realms, under these 12 like subcategories, you probably could. If you could give the 12 dimensions or whatever a subcategory, maybe these symbols you see in your dream, you can like pocket them on, oh, I was in the 7th dimension tonight. But at the end of the day, what I've realized is it's all about going home. Like, go home, go to your castle, go to infinite source, if that's what you choose to do. But when you go to sleep every night, you're seeing these realms, because these things that are created by your mind are actual mental planes of existence that are happening. They don't manifest here quickly because intrusive thoughts and all those things don't manifest because they don't follow the same properties of when you're actually consistently thinking of negative or focusing on bad things and then letting it go because you're like, oh, I don't want that to happen. It's like, well, your not understanding the mechanics of how reality works will bring those negative things to you, because it's like what will go wrong what can go wrong will go wrong, that sort of thought process. So not to go too far off the deep end on those, and to stay on the planes and stuff, every time we go to sleep, we're in a plane, at least according to me. I mean, I've gone to realms where I'm literally saving kids. Like, you really have to ask yourself, why do you dream about these things? Like, I'm telling you, ever since I've awakened, I've had dreams of, like, what people have told me is I've met the embodiment or the energy of Mother Sophia. She literally held her hands out telling me to remember love. And in that same dream, it was like these fucking elder dragons and shit. And this was a meditation, by the way. This elder dragon touched my forehead and like transported me to this other realm. And I met that Mother Sophia that literally was at my doorstep of my parents' house telling me to remember love and remember who I am. And I woke up out of that meditation sweating. Then there was another meditation where I started saving kids from this realm that was like covered. And mind you, by the time I'm having all of these dreams, I'm not watching anything fantasy. I love like fantasy, like, the universes with Harry Potter and all the way to Dragon Age Inquisition. And I love everything that's like that medieval fantasy, um, dark, high, light, mid fantasy, whatever. Love it all. But I wasn't watching anything by that time to have these dreams, so nothing was really influencing my subconscious. But and I kept going into these meditations and asking, who am I? What's my power? What am I really supposed to be doing right now? Because I knew 25 was going to be the age I started mastering these things. And all the dreams I had were about shedding the ego, letting certain things go, like becoming unrecognizable to even yourself. I had a dream where it was more horrifying, but I was still conscious and wasn't really scared of it, of my face melting off in the mirror when I looked in it, representing in this entity, like shaking my whole worldview, telling me to remember who I am. And that, I think, was a meditation that I fell into sleep to. But yeah, another one where I was saving kids and I was working with what I didn't know at the time. There was a lot of green energy beating from my heart and everything. And apparently I was working with the Archangel Michael. Is that him? Not Michael. Raphael. I think he's green and the aura is green and everything's. So I'm pretty sure I'm connected to Archangel Raphael. If I mean, I believe I'm doing it. If your imagination is God, I mean, I believe I'm working with Raphael, and I lead by that too. I only exist, I feel like, to help people become their best version of themselves, because I was in a state where I was very anxiety driven and all that. But yeah, like I said, I've gone to realms where, like, I'm working right with the Archangel Raphael. I could have been saving real kids. Funny enough, after I had that dream, I got a career opportunity working with kids that had disabilities. I didn't last long at all, because I just, at the time, my circumstances in the 3D were getting way, way, way too heavy for me to focus on. So I felt like I needed something else where I could be more independent to my energy. But literally after that dream of having, like, helping kids, I end up in a career where I'm able to work with kids. And yeah, and the potential there was great. From what I met, everybody there liked me. But so that's what I mean. All these other realms and stuff like that, not to go far off topic, is these realms exist. There, if your imagination, if we are consciousness in a whole, and your imagination and everything is source and God and all of this, then it's like you're going to so many realms at night. You go to a different realm every time you sleep. And maybe I'll make a video on how to have out of body experiences. But out of body experiences, I feel like, are just like, there's like, when people have those random dreams, I truly believe every dream means something. A lot of my dreams are always pinpoint on it. I don't have some wild kooky dream, wild out there dreams where, like, I've got a clown arm and a T-Rex arm and stuff like that. I don't really have that after I've awakened. And maybe because my focus has become harder, like hardened, and more like streamlined for like just being the best version of myself every day. I still do have very fun dreams, but they're very realistic, or very like themed. They don't, like, themes don't clash, mix, and become chaotic. They used to, but still, I felt like those dreams and the certain symbols you see are things that maybe your subconscious mind picked up and just remembers from the day, but it's still creating realms that we are going off to every single night. So I would say from this, I definitely believe there are way more than 12 different realms and 12 heavens and whatever dimension. But the point is to me, it's go home. Who cares what dimension? Unless you want to. If, like, I bet you could do it. If you want to go to any realm, you could. do it. Like meditation shows you that you can put yourself in any realm you want. Like I did a meditation today where, again, this ties on to manifestation, where I just put myself, like, I don't know, I was putting myself in a type of apartment, a thing I wanted to love, and I tried to experience it with all five senses, and I did. I started smile. I could feel my body physically smiling, and my whole body was shaking and vibrating. So I was there, and when I open my eyes, I still feel like I'm there. I still feel like I'm there now because I'm wiring it in. That's how you do it. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Love y'all as always, and let's get on to the next one.